On this episode of Black Untold, we dive into a little-known yet critical piece of African American history, the Negro Motorist Green Book. Published from 1936 to 1966 by Victor Hugo Green, this travel guide was more than just a collection of recommendations. It was a lifeline for Black Americans navigating the treacherous roads of a segregated United States. In an era where racism and violence lurked around every corner, the Green Book offered safety, dignity, and a sense of community to millions of travelers. Today, we explore how this essential guide helped African Americans travel with confidence, forging connections across the country, and quietly fueling the fight for civil rights. This is Black Untold, the story of Victor Hugo Green, the creator of the Negro Motorist Green Book. Published by Victor Hugo Green, a Black postal worker from Harlem, the Green Book provided essential information to Black motorists traveling through the segregated United States from 1936 to 1966. In a time when separate but equal was the law of the land, and the mere act of driving through certain towns or stopping at the wrong place could lead to harassment, violence, or worse, this guidebook offered something even more precious than convenience: safety. The rise of the automobile in the early 20th century gave many Americans the freedom to explore the country like never before. The allure of the open road promised adventure, new opportunities, and leisure. However, for Black Americans, the reality of traveling was far more complicated. The Jim Crow laws that enforced racial segregation in the South and de facto segregation in the North made it perilous for African Americans to move freely. Many gas stations, hotels, restaurants, and even restrooms were either off-limits or openly hostile to Black travelers. They could face denial of service, public humiliation, and, in the most extreme cases, physical violence. Sundown towns, towns where Black people were not allowed after dark, were a constant danger. For many African Americans, a wrong turn or an unplanned stop could quickly turn into a life-threatening situation. This is where Victor Hugo Green stepped in. He recognized the urgent need for Black motorists to have a reliable resource to navigate these dangerous and unpredictable environments. Drawing inspiration from similar guides used by Jewish travelers who also faced discrimination, Green first published the Negro Motorist Green Book in 1936. It initially focused on New York, listing hotels, restaurants, and gas stations where Black people would be treated with respect. The tagline read, "Carry your Green Book with you. You may need it." It wasn't long before the demand for the book grew, and Green expanded the guide to cover all 48 states, as well as Canada, Mexico, and the Caribbean. With the help of other Black postal workers who would gather information from their respective regions, Green's book quickly became an indispensable tool for Black travelers. The Green Book did more than just list places to eat or sleep. It created a network of Black-owned businesses and safe havens that stood in direct defiance of a racist system. Through its pages, Black travelers could find hotels, guest houses, private homes willing to take them in, beauty parlors, barbershops, nightclubs, and even beaches. It offered reassurance that they could travel without fear of humiliation or harm. In this way, the Green Book not only helped people move through segregated America, but also provided a tangible sense of community and belonging. Some of the places listed in the Green Book were far more than just accommodations. They became cultural hubs where travelers could meet, socialize, and even strategize about the ongoing fight for civil rights. For example, The Dookie Chase restaurant in New Orleans, listed in the Green Book, was not only a safe place for black diners, but also a gathering spot for civil rights leaders like Martin Luther King Jr. and Thurgood Marshall. These businesses were integral to both the survival and the flourishing of black communities during segregation, providing economic empowerment and dignity in a time when such things were scarce. The dangers for black travelers were real and immediate. Stories of black families being turned away from hotels, harassed by police, or worse, were all too common. Some travelers would pack entire meals, extra fuel, and even portable toilets to avoid stopping along the way. The threat of violence was not exaggerated. Lynchings, beatings, and other forms of racial terror were frequent, and the ability to identify safe locations to stop was literally a matter of life or death. Green's Green Book was not just a helpful guide, it was a tool of survival. The last edition of the Green Book was published in 1966, as the civil rights movement brought about desegregation in many parts of the country. By then, the need for such a guide had diminished, as more establishments were forced to open their doors to all travelers, regardless of race. Yet, the Green Book represents a powerful chapter in American history that is often forgotten or overlooked. It is a testament to the creativity and self-sufficiency of African Americans who found ways to thrive and travel in a nation that actively sought to restrict their freedom. Victor Hugo Green himself did not live to see the end of segregation. He passed away in 1960 before the landmark Civil Rights Act. But his legacy, and the legacy of the Green Book, is undeniable. The Negro Motorist Green Book served as the inspiration for the 2018 Academy Award-winning film Green Book, directed by Peter Farrelly. The movie tells the story of a road trip through the segregated South in the 1960s, highlighting the relationship between African-American pianist Dr. Don Shirley, played by Mahershala Ali, and his white chauffeur, Tony Lip Valalonga, played by Viggo Mortensen. While the film centers on their friendship and journey, it draws directly from the historical realities captured in Victor Hugo Green's travel guide, which provided Black Americans with crucial information on safe places to eat, stay, and refuel during the Jim Crow era. Although the movie has been critiqued for focusing more on the white perspective, it nonetheless brought wider attention to the Green Book's role in protecting and empowering Black travelers during one of the most racially oppressive periods in U.S. history. While the Green Book may no longer be needed as it once was, its spirit lives on in the efforts of those who continue to push for a more just and equitable world. It reminds us of the importance of resilience in the face of oppression, the power of community in times of adversity, and the necessity of ensuring that all people, regardless of race or background, have the right to move freely and safely in the world. As we look back on this remarkable guide, we honor the millions of Black Americans who traveled with the Green Book in hand despite the fears they faced. Victor Hugo Green's legacy stands as a testament to the power of resilience and community in the face of adversity. Through the Negro Motorist Green Book, he transformed fear into freedom, creating a resource that gave Black Americans the courage to explore, connect, and pursue opportunity in a world that often sought to deny them safe passage. His vision reached far beyond roadways and towns. It became a symbol of empowerment, dignity, and hope. Today, Green's work reminds us that even the simplest acts, like creating a guidebook, can spark profound change and foster unity. His story is a powerful reminder of how one person's dedication can illuminate the path forward for generations to come, inspiring us to make a mark that lifts others just as he did.